So this division is probably the worst division to play in because it's a really hard division to play in. Like, you look at all these teams: Arizona, the Rams, the 49ers, and the Seahawks, all very talented teams. But I'm going to get right into this video. And starting in with the 4th seed, I got the Los Angeles Rams with a 7-9 record. This is why this division is very, very competitive. The team with the worst record in this division is 7-9, which is not a very bad record. It isn't a very bad record. So, yeah. This is a very, very hard division to play in, you can already tell. But yeah, look at the Rams team. Jared Goff, way too expensive. Honestly, the Rams, this offseason, they worked on clearing up cap space. They really didn't get any big free agents at all. They just cleared up cap space, much needed cap space. They cut Gurley, traded Brandon Cooks. And yeah, I mean, this is moves that they should never have made. They should have never paid so much money to these players, not thinking about the future. They should have just, honestly, the only way I think the Rams will ever be a good team again, well, not just necessarily a good team, but that Super Bowl form, is if they move on from Jared Goff, because he is worth too much cap space. Way too much cap space. But look at the Rams offense. Jared Goff, he's not a good quarterback. He's an average quarterback. And he's way too overpaid. In the running back group, Cam Akers and Malcolm Brown, that's not a very impressive running back group. I mean, Akers is a rookie. So that's two positions that are very questionable. The receivers, I mean, they have some decent receivers: Van Jefferson, Robert Woods, and Josh Reynolds, and Cooper Kupp. That's a nice receiving core. Their tight ends, Tyler Higbee and Gerald Everett. I think Everett's still on the team. I think they're both still on the team. That's a nice tight end group because Everett is the catch guy of the thing. He's like that passing tight end that you go to. He's the better tight end when it comes to catching, but all around, Higbee's a better tight end because Higbee, he can block too and he can catch. So that's a nice group. I mean, their offensive line, last year they lost Roger Saffold, but they still do have, of course, Andrew Whitworth and all that nice stuff. So they have a decent O-line. Their defense, you can't forget Aaron Donald, the best defensive player in football, and arguably even the best player in football. And Aaron Donald just brings so much pressure. And I don't know how Aaron Donald was not double-teamed all the time last year, because he is a force to be reckoned with. He is an amazing football player. They got some nice pieces around him. Of course, they got some average guys like John Franklin Myers. Michael Brockers is a nice pass rusher. Lost Dante Fowler Jr. to free agency. And Dante Fowler was a really good player for them, so they might take a hit there. In the secondary, I mean, Taylor Rapp, a nice little safety. And so is Troy Hill. I think that's their other safety. Or is he a corner? But yeah, he's a pretty okay corner as well. Jalen Ramsey, of course, the best corner in football. And he probably won't be a Ram for the foreseeable future. But he is a great player. The Rams are pretty lucky to have him. Of course, they gave up a chunk, 2 first-round picks and a 4th-round pick to acquire him from the Jaguars. So that's a pretty decent team, but when you play in this division, if the Rams played in any other division, they'd be a 10-16. They'd be in the playoffs. But they have to play in this division, so yeah, it's kind of unfortunate for them. But this is a pretty average team that can go 7-9. I mean, but the only way I see them being that great Super Bowl team again is if they move on from Jared Goff. I don't know if they can cut him or it'll be too much money. I think they have to get out of Goff's contract. Maybe send Goff in a pick after players like Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, and Ben Roethlisberger and guys like that retire. Maybe they can send Goff in a pick or Goff and a player in a pick or Goff and a player like Goff and Robert Woods to the Saints for, I don't know, a 6th round pick, or Goff a 5th round pick and, I don't know, some player, say it's John Franklin Myers to the Saints or any other team, even Tampa Bay, just send that for a 7th round pick or a 6th round pick. The only way I see them being that great form is they move on from Jared Goff, because that's $33 million to spend in free agency. And if they use their money wisely, and their GM uses their money wisely, and they don't sign Goff to this massive extension, and they get out of his contract, then I could see this team being the best in this division for the foreseeable future if they spend their money wisely, because it's different if you get out of Goff's contract and you go spill around in free agency and sign guys, or if you get out of Goff's contract, maybe bring in a decent player that's 8 mil, 7 mil, and bring in some backup players, back of the roster players, and spend 10 mil on that and save 23 mil in cap space and save that for the future, because it's different. That's what they need to do. They need to save it for the future, because their GM situation, their GM has not used his money wisely. He's signed Goff to an extension worth way too much money, and now he's stuck with Goff, and he has to pay Jalen Ramsey, and the Rams don't have very much cap space to pay him, so they're probably going to lose him, and they don't have any picks left because they traded pretty much all their picks, and they don't have cheap players on rookie deals, young players on rookie deals, because they have no picks because they traded for him. So yeah, coming in with the 3 seed, I got the Arizona Cardinals with an 8-8 record. Now, I don't cover the Cardinals, but I am a fan of the team. You know, the Cardinals, they got a bunch of talent. Their quarterback, Kyler Murray, he is a very good quarterback, an underrated quarterback. In their running back, Kenyon Drake, he's a nice running back. So they got a good run game. Their tight ends, Max Williams, he was a pretty decent tight end for them last year. Their receivers, of course, you got old man Larry Fitz, nice receiver. He still produces very nicely for, what is it, a 37-year-old? 38-year-old? Yeah, he produces nicely. Christian Kirk, he's a nice wideout, who was a really good wideout last year. And, of course, they got DeAndre Hopkins, the best wide receiver in football. Don't want to hear no Julio Jones in there. It is DeAndre Hopkins. He is the best wide receiver in football. They got a good offense, and then their offensive line, DJ Humphries, they need to fix it up a bit, but I think Kyler, with all the weapons he has, he's going to be fine. I really do think very highly of Kyler Murray. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks in this game. Now, their defense, they got some nice pieces on that defense. Chandler Jones, Patrick Peterson, Isaiah Simmons, Byron Murphy, Budda Baker, and Jordan Phillips, Devondre Campbell, free agent signings. Their GM is amazing. Like, he's pretty much the best GM in football. Of course, not literally, but he's a good GM. He's spent his money wisely. He's made good draft picks. He's made good trades. So, yeah. But this team plays in this division with the 49ers and the Seahawks. So, yeah, it's pretty much a shame. So I think this team goes 8-8. They can definitely beat good teams. They can definitely beat the 49ers and the Seahawks. But but they play in this division that's way too loaded. I think they're a few years away until they take that next step to actually going in the playoffs and being or winning this division. Now with the 2 seed, I got the Seattle Seahawks. It is pretty much the Russell Wilson show. This team goes as far as Russell Wilson goes. Russell Wilson every year single-handedly carries this team to the playoffs. Yeah, of course he has a little bit of help from his receivers like Lockett and Metcalf, but it's pretty much the Russell Wilson show. I don't think very highly of this roster. Of course, they got some nice players on this roster, but it's not the best roster. It's definitely not the most talented roster. I'd say that even the Rams roster is better than this Seahawks roster. Their offense, of course, their quarterback, Russell Wilson. I think he's the best quarterback in the league. I don't think it's Mahomes. I think it's Wilson. Because he single-handedly carries this team. Their running back, average at best, Chris Carson. The Seahawks, they just run it all day. Their offensive line is terrible. They just cut their second and third best offensive lineman after Dwayne Brown, DJ Humphries and Justin Britt. That's gonna be a huge loss. Of course they still have Dwayne Brown. He still is a pretty okay tackle. The receivers, Tyler Lockett. I think he's one of the better receivers in the league. I think he's a very underrated receiver. DK Metcalf had an amazing rookie year. Of course, is a huge receiver. I do like him as well. Their tight ends, Will Disley. He was a pretty good tight end last year until he got hurt. Their defense, of course, Bobby Wagner. They do got some nice pieces at safety with Quandre Diggs and, of course, Jamal Adams that they traded 2 first-round picks, a third-round pick, and Bradley McDougall for. I think that was a little bit of a way overpaid, but Jamal Adams is still a good player. So yeah, this Seahawks team, it has talent here and there, but Russell Wilson carries this team, and this team has talent. This team would be so much better if Pete Carroll didn't run the ball. Oh no, we're down. Russell Wilson, come save us. Russell Wilson, he can save the Seahawks most of the time. He can save them. But he can't do it all the time. If he's playing Chicago, that defense, if he's playing elite defenses, he cannot help them when they're down by 14. He can probably make the game a little bit more interesting, but Russell Wilson can't do it all the time. So that's why the Seahawks coming in with an 11-5 record. Now with the 1 seed, I got the San Francisco 49ers with a 14-2 record. I think the Niners got better, honestly. I mean, of course, they got some big one was to retirement, and one was free agency. They lost Emmanuel Sanders, and they lost Joe Staley, the tackle, and they lost DeForest Buckner. And I understand why they traded Buckner. Buckner was like a lot. He was a lot of money. So they also had Eric Armstead, who was a free agent. So they chose Armstead over Buckner. So they traded Buckner for a first-round pick. They lost Joe Staley, which they traded for Trent Williams to replace Joe Staley. You can't say that Trent Williams is not a good replacement for Joe Staley, because Staley was old, and so is Trent Williams. He's not an amazing player anymore, but he's still a very, very good tackle. Emmanuel Sanders' departure, what do? Go draft Brandon Ayuk. DeForest Buckner leaves. what did they do? Go draft Javon Kinlaw. This team got a little bit better, and they spent their cap space wisely. Didn't bring in like all these amazing players. They kept their team. Of course, they lost players, but they replaced them, and they went on with winning. And I think it's only going to pay off. And I think they were like 13-3 last year. I think they're going to be 14-2. The 49ers, look at their talent on offense. Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't think he was worth that contract, but hey, he led them to a Super Bowl last year. He's a pretty good quarterback. Run game, of course, they got that nasty run game with Raheem Mostert, and Tevin Coleman and McKinnon. He got hurt, and McKinnon, he's probably going to come back, honestly, and be a good running back. That's your Matt Breida replacement right there. Their tight end, of course, George Kittle and Jordan Reed. That's a pretty dangerous tight end group. Their receivers, they've got Brandon Ayuk, Debo Samuel. So they got some pretty nice receivers. Of course, Dante Pettis, he's still there, but yeah, we don't know about him. And something that people actually should be talking about, the 49ers signed Tavon Austin. He was pretty good with the Cowboys, so I like that signing. Their defense, Eric Armstead, Nick Bosa, Javon Kinlaw, Fred Warner, DJ Jones, and I'm pretty sure I'm forgetting some guys because that defense is absolutely loaded with talent. In the secondary, they got Richard Sherman and Emmanuel Mosley, some nice corners. Of course, they got guys like K'Wan Williams and Quan Alexander, and of course, Dre Greenlaw. That's a nice linebackers, and I think Williams is a safety, a corner. I don't know. And there's so yeah, this team is loaded. It is loaded. And I'm pretty sure I'm forgetting somebody because this team is so loaded. So yeah, I think the 49ers go 14-2. And yeah, that's pretty much it for my video. See you guys in my next video.